Good evening. You are watching the Karan Chronicles, where we make sense of the global events with straight facts and sharp analysis. Coming up on the show, in our first story, we decode one of the deadliest terror attacks in recent years that has shocked Jammu and Kashmir and entire India. At least 28 innocent people were killed in Pahalgam as terrorists opened fire on tourists in the broad daylight. We break down what happened, who could be behind it, and why it's raising alarms across the nation and world. Next, Elon Musk is feeling the pressure. Tesla's profit have plunged by over 70%, and the DOGE father may finally be stepping back. Is Musk losing control of his empire or just shifting gears? Then over to Europe, Denmark is going all in on maritime security with Russia-linked threats rising in the Baltic Sea. The country is now pumping $614 million into 26 new Navy vessels. What's behind this bold military move? And finally, big tech just got a big slap. The European Union has fined Apple and Meta staggering €700 million under its new digital rules. Apple's App Store dominance and Meta's play or be tracked model are under fire. Both companies are not taking it lightly. All this is lined up. Let's begin. In what is being described as one of the deadliest terror attacks in Jammu and Kashmir in recent years, at least 28 innocent people were killed in Pahalgam on Tuesday afternoon when heavily armed terrorists opened fire on tourists in the Baisaran Valley. A place known for peace and beauty turned into a gruesome nightmare on Tuesday that none of us can forget. What began as an ordinary day for vacationers turned into a nightmare when around 2:30 p.m. the attackers descended upon the area and unleashed the gunfire on innocent people. But as the eyewitness account began to emerge, a far more chilling layer has come to light. This was not just an act of mass violence, it was a targeted massacre based on religious identity. Survivors recount that the terrorists went person to person asking them about their religion. Hindu tourists were reportedly asked to recite Islamic verses, and those who couldn't were killed, were executed on the spot. The terrorists operated with code names like Musa, Yunus, and Asif, and now these suspects have been identified as Asif Sheikh, Suleiman Shah, and Abu Talha, all of whom are believed to be the operatives of the resistance front. Among the 28 innocent victims were a young Navy officer who had just gotten married a week ago on April 16th, and an Intelligence Bureau official, Air Force officer, who was shot dead in front of their wives. Two foreigners, one from Nepal and one from UAE, and two residents were also among the killed. The methodological and deliberate nature of these killings has deeply shaken the entire nation, the entire world. One survivor said her husband was gunned down after failing to recite a verse that terrorists demanded. Go tell Modi, the attackers reportedly told her in a cruel moment of psychological warfare before they vanished into the valley. As the scale of this tragedy became clear, a massive manhunt was launched in the valley. Now you see, tourists have been targeted in Kashmir before as well, but not like this. The last such major incident was in 2000 when at least 32 people, including 21 Hindu pilgrims, were killed. But since then, attacks on tourists have been rare. And Tuesday's attack was brutal, large scale, and timid to hunt both the peace and the people of the country. Army personnel, CRPF, and local police have cordoned off the region with helicopters deployed to evacuate the injured. Since the area is accessible only by foot or horseback, the operations remain quite challenging. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who was on an official visit, two-day official state visit to Saudi Arabia when the attack occurred, immediately cut short his trip and returned to country India. In a post on X, he condemned the attacks in the strongest terms possible and vowed that those behind this heinous act will not be spared. Meanwhile, a cabinet committee on security meeting was convened in New Delhi, and Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, who is also on overseas visit, has also cut short her overseas visit to return to home to India. Home Minister Amit Shah has visited the site of this terrorist attack and vowed to bring justice to the entire nation. As panic spread, the Delhi police ramped up security across the capital Delhi, especially at tourist locations and broader border entry points. Airlines have responded by increasing flight frequency to Srinagar and also waiving the cancellation fee to help those stranded and bring people back to the homes. Eyewitness videos paint a horrifying picture: tourists screaming, people bleeding on the ground, and families begging for help. One clip showed a woman sobbing near her dying husband. The attackers reportedly had no intention of taking hostage or making political demands. Their aim was simple. They had sole aim of killing based on religion, killing the Hindus. This attack has brought back chilling memories of the past and has also raised fresh concerns about the safety of civilians, particularly especially Hindu pilgrims and Hindu tourists in this valley. While the government has not officially confirmed the perpetrators, the criminals, the preliminary investigation point towards the Resistance Front (TRF), a shadow outfit of the banned Pakistani-based terror group Lashkar-e-Taiba. TRF is suspected to have infiltrated from Kishtwar and reached by Saran via Kokermagh in South Kashmir. International condemnation poured in swiftly, with world leaders from United States, from Russia, Italy, and European Union calling the attack, and I quote, "vile and barbaric." United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres also expressed his sorrow and urged a united front against terror and terrorism. But beyond the geopolitics and security responses, the heart of matter lies in the cruelty of the transpired, that people were killed not for what they did, but for who they were, asked to prove their faith, and then shot when they couldn't meet terrorists' arbitrary religious Muslim test. The people also came to see Kashmir's beauty left in terror, and the scares may last for years. The country demands strong actions against these terrorists. Elon Musk is scaling down his political commitments. Yes, that's right. He says he will spend less time advising the United States government so that he can focus more on Tesla. The reason: Tesla's sales are tumbling, profits are down by over 70%, and investors are starting to wonder if Musk is stretched too thin. Musk has been leading the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE for short, and not to be confused with the meme coin. But anyhow, this advisory body created under President Trump is focused on cutting US federal spending and also jobs. And Musk's high-profile role has turned Tesla's showroom into protest sites and even led to few acts of vandalism or putting Tesla cars on fire. So now Musk say his time spent on Dodge will drop significantly down to just 1 or 2 days a week, but he is not walking away completely. I'll stay on as long as President wants me to and as long as it's useful, he said. Musk also made clear that the backlash, including boycotts and bad press, was starting to affect demand for Tesla vehicles. He finally addressed that. Tesla, once the darling of electric car revolution, is now facing serious headwinds. The company reported a 20% drop in sales this quarter compared to last year, with profits falling by more than 70%, 70%. Musk blamed challenging political sentiment and economic uncertainty for pushing potential buyers to pause on major purchases, including cars. Adding to the pressure are Trump's new tariffs on Chinese imports, and Tesla depends on Chinese parts, or even thought it assemble cars in the United States of America. Now, with the tariffs raised to as high as 145% or 245% in some cases, Tesla has paused some imports and suspended Model S and Model X orders in China. The tit-for-tat trade war isn't helping, and even Musk admitted that tariffs are still tough on a company where margins are low. This is what he said. Despite all this, Tesla shares jumped 5% after Musk's announcement. Why? Because investors are relieved that he's finally prioritizing the company Tesla that actually builds cars. Some analysts believe Musk's reduced political involvement might calm tensions and allow Tesla to reset its public image. Others, however, worry that unless Tesla launches a truly affordable EV soon, electric vehicle, its troubles might go beyond bad PR. Musk says AI and innovation will lead Tesla's next chapter of growth, but critics remain skeptical. With competition rising and global supply chain on shaky grounds, the real question is, can Musk refocus and steer Tesla back on track? Because right now, the road ahead looks quite bumpy and there is no autopilot on this one. Denmark has just announced a major military upgrade, pledging around $614 million to build and buy 26 new Navy vessels. Why? To patrol the waters, respond to oil spills, and most importantly, keep an eye on undersea cables and pipelines that are now considered vulnerable targets. Defense Minister Paulson puts it bluntly, saying the threats we face at sea today are far more serious than just a few years ago. And he's not exaggerating. Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in year 2022, strange things have been happening in the Baltic Sea. We have also covered this before. Power cables going dark, telecom lines getting cut, even gas pipelines mysteriously sabotaged. Remember the Nord Stream pipeline explosion that sent shockwaves across the Europe? Russia has denied any role, but suspicion still lingers on Russia. In response, NATO has been stepping up its defense game, spending in frigates, aircrafts, and naval drones. Now, Denmark is doing its part. These 26 new ships are just the beginning. The country will also invest in drones and sonar tech to detect underwater activity that might otherwise go just unnoticed. But this isn't just about defense, it is also about deterrence. Paulson says this is the first step in helping Denmark prepare for a, and I quote, wider range of threats, especially from what's known as Russia's shadow fleet. These are ships that defy international sanctions to quietly move oil, weapons, and grains across the way of sea. The stakes are high. Undersea cables are the backbone of everything from your internet to the global financial transaction, everything. Damaging them doesn't just cause inconvenience, it creates chaos across the world. After years of cutting back on defense spending, Denmark is now shifting gears and finally rising to the requirement. Last year, it committed 190 billion crowns over 10 years to modernize its military. This naval upgrade is one of the most urgent pieces to that same puzzle. Many of the new ships are expected to be built domestically, possibly in alliance and in partnership with the NATO allies, through details like still under wrap. In a world where undersea cables are just as critical as land borders, Denmark is making it very clear it's ready to guard the deep blue and steel, solar, and strategy. The European Union just handed out a massive reality check to big tech. Apple and Meta has been slapped with a combined 700 million euros in fine for breaking new digital rules meant to keep tech giants in check. Apple was hit hardest with 500 million euros for how it controlled its app store. The EU says Apple made it too hard for app developers to offer alternative marketplaces. In simple terms, if you want to buy or download apps, you had to go through Apple's system, play by Apple's rules, and pay Apple's fees. Meanwhile, Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, was fined with some 200 million euros. You ask why? Because how it used cookies. You see, Meta's consent or pay model focused users to either accept being tracked across the internet or pay up to use its platforms. The EU says it's not a real choice, it's a pressure dressed up as consent. The European Commissioner puts it plainly and understandably, we have a duty to protect the rights of citizens and innovate businesses in Europe. This is the first time fines have been issued under the European Union's tough new Digital Markets Act, a law designed to level the digital playing field and give users more control, more safety. Now, surprisingly, Apple and Meta are furious. Apple said it's being unfairly targeted and that these rules force it to give away your technology for free. Meta went further, accusing the EU of handicapping successful American companies while giving Chinese and European firms a free pass. Now they're accusing the European Union. The timing is also sensitive. You have to understand from this perspective. Trade tensions between the US and EU are rising. The US recently imposed some 20% tariffs on EU imports, and Trump has accused Europe of taking advantage of the United States of America. This tech fine could add fuel to that fire. Both Apple and Meta has 60 days to comply or risk even bigger penalties. And neither is backing down quietly. Apple says EU moved the goalposts, while Meta claims that it is basically a hidden $1 billion tax. But for now, the message from Brussels is loud and clear, and understandably clear. If you are playing in Europe, you play by Europe's rule. That is what they're saying. And that's all I have for you on the show tonight, dear viewers. I will see you tomorrow. Until then, take care, be safe, and good night.